Welcome back to the channel, guys. Here's episode 2 of the 940 Turbo build. Thank you very much for the support and the comments on the first video. I appreciate these cars aren't for everyone, but it's something on my bucket list that I really wanted to own, and like I mentioned, you know, without you guys supporting the channel, it wouldn't be possible. It's definitely helped. Also, like I mentioned, and there is a few comments and stuff flying around on Instagram mainly, you know, about the minis and stuff like that not being on the channel anymore. That's not happening. I promise you now, guys, there will always be minis on this channel. But the reason it's named Simpsons Classics is Simpsons Classics, my surname, Classics being my cars. It doesn't depict just minis. I love other cars as well, and the whole point of the channel and the whole point of me documenting my journey through the motoring the world is so I can bring all the cars I do really enjoy. So we got obviously the Mazda, the minis, all different forms of minis obviously, and now the Volvo. So will be other cars as well, I hope so. I don't stop. At the end of the day, you always want different cars, you want to experience other things, and one thing it's really taught me, especially just jumping into it and buying the Mazda, that I really have missed out over the years of just really having minis. So thank you very much for that, guys. Let's just get stuck into the next episode. So the valve cover, or rocker cover, cam cover, whatever you want to say, I said that I wanted to get this sorted out. Now, it isn't actually really good condition. There's one minor scratch which has caused a little bit of surface rust there, and just marks really. I mean, it's an old car at the end of the day. Got to get in the corners and get it a good clean, but take the cap off, it's all really clean around here. It's absolutely fine. So I don't think it's going to take too much work to get this to a prep stage. I've got a bit of Scotch pad out, and the main thing I want to work out is how I want to do this. Now, I don't know if I want to mask this off, do this separately, or if I want to paint the whole thing and just have it all quite stealth looking. I'm not entirely sure. I really don't want to lose that within the paint. So the paint we're using is one that Frost has supplied us. So Frost Restoration, our sponsors, check them out in the link in the description below. I'll also put the link to that paint in there as well if you want to go and grab yourself some. But I really like the crinkle look paint, the high temperature paint as well. I bought it to do the Mazda, but we can get more, it's not an issue. But I really want to try on this. This is a car that's stripped apart at the moment engine wise, so let's get stuck into putting it on here really. I think it gives a nice hard wearing look. I think it gives it a bit of a different look as well. And yeah, like I said, the main thing I'm stuck with is what I do with that. So I have started to Scotch pad it down just to get it quite smooth. Now, I think it should just be silver. I don't want to change the colour of it. The car's silver as well, so it kind of looks quite cool like that. But I also want it to look like fake and almost a little bit tacky. So I want to make it kind of look real still and have a bit of a texture, have its age to it. There is a slight groove in the V there and stuff like that. So I kind of want to retain that, but it does need to stand out a little bit more than just being all black. So I'll spin you guys around now. I'll run through the paint that I've got as well. I mentioned the high temperature paint from Frost, and we'll get stuck into prepping this up. It's going to be a very short video, guys, but I wanted to document the whole build. The engine is obviously in pieces and the head is with the machine shop, so they were quite impressed with it when they saw it. They said it's a good, strong, you know, Volvo engine, very rarely go wrong. So we are hoping that the issue with the car was the fan failing, which caused the car to overheat, but nonetheless the car stripped apart, so let's get it looked at. They were quite impressed with it. They said it doesn't look too bad, there's no hairline cracks from what they can see, but obviously under a pressure test they'll probably find something, I guess, maybe a bit of wear, but from looking at it, they openly said they just need to skim, pressure test it. But you know, you always think the worst, but I'm quite confident, they're quite confident it's going to come back fine. And then really it's a case of getting a gasket kit, getting it put back together. But let's get stuck into this. Also, before we do get stuck into this, anyone, and I'll show you a close up in a second, that knows where to get these stickers from, I'm quite interested to put this back on. I'm going to try and peel it off without damaging it, but I think it will damage. I can always adhesive it back on after, but I would like to keep the factory OEM look, so we will see. And you could say by going OEM look I should just keep it nice gloss black, but I kind of really like the crinkle paint, but we'll see. Crinkle paint for now, can always change it later on, can't I? Get that silver. So, rocker cover, a bit more of a close up. Like I mentioned, it's got a gloss finish from factory. We're going to mask this off. Definitely it's going to be silver, it's going to stand out. I've got the red Scotch pad. Now, this paint doesn't require any primers or anything like that. It just says to basically key the surface using the red Scotch pad actually, so very good. And make sure it's clean, free of any contaminants, grease, oils. Obviously this is a valve cover, so it's going to have oil on it. I've cleaned all the top of it. I've used just brake and clutch cleaner, degreaser, anything I can to get it apart. We're going to now scotch the whole thing up, and then we're going to use this. So you can kind of see in a picture there, it leaves a textured look. I can't wait to use it. It's something I've wanted to just play with as a little project, and let's face it, this is a little project while we're waiting for everything else to go on. So let's get the tunes going and let's get stuck in, because this is our, apparently it takes a long time to dry as well, so kind of intrigued to see how it works and how it reacts. Right guys, I've gone over the whole thing with a Scotch pad. You can obviously see it's all flat. I'm going to opt to actually mask this off because I had a look online, and I'm a bit of a stickler for trying to keep things a little bit original and OEM, and I really like that. So I'm going to painstakingly mask that off. I might regret it if it peels the transfer off, but we'll get to that when we get to that. I've got some proper professional tape, so I'm hoping it's going to do a nice outline. Through doing all this, I kind of decided what I wanted to do with the Volvo. So if you can see there, it has got, the camera picked up that very well, like a brush stainless look to it. So I achieved that by getting rid of all the texture paint that was on there and using a 80 disc, 80 grip on a block and going one direction with it. Now, in the flesh, it's got a few marks in it. It's got like a little chip in it there and stuff. But personally, I think that looks really, really trick and really, really neat. You can imagine it with the matte Wrinkle paint next to it. I just think it gives the Volvo, already quite a hardy looking car, quite a hardy appearance, quite a solid, strong looking appearance. I quite like that. I'm really chuffed. I kind of found that through doing it. I didn't want to put paint on it like I mentioned, but you can see there the light picking up on it. It's literally like a brush stainless look. Obviously it's not stainless, this is steel, but it's yeah, it's pretty good. So I've also done on the 80s where any paint was peeling, when any rust was coming through, just to get it smooth. This whole thing is lovely and lovely smooth now. So basically I've got to degrease the whole thing again. Right, so now what I've got to do is painstakingly mask all of this off, because obviously if I leave this, it's going to go rusty because it's bare steel now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask off this area, probably the square plinth there, and I'm going to lacquer that. I'm going to clear lacquer it. So that's the next point of call. Right guys, so that took for absolute ever to do, but I'm going to get some clear coat on this and I'm going to leave it overnight. The weather's very cold and damp this time of year. I really want the lacquer to adhere very well, because obviously I'm going to have to then mask this bit off to paint the rest of the rock cover, but I felt doing it this way is probably the better way, because if you did it the other way, you'd have to then cut round all your fresh paint and stuff like that, and this way, if I do this, this is localized area to be able to repair if I did booger it up, basically. So yeah, let's get stuck in. Very excited. Just gonna use some universal lacquer, nothing fancy. But yeah, I love that look. That brushed, I know it's not, like I say, not stainless, but that brushed metal look just looks awesome. Absolutely love it. Let's get stuck in. Right, for you guys, that was 5 seconds. For me, that was a little longer. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Obviously you lose the texture of the brushed look, but you retain that lovely natural raw metal look, and I adore that. That's why I love working with metal, because of that. So yeah, I'm going to let that go off a little bit, and then we'll just get the masking tape off, let it dry overnight. So all I did, use the universal lacquer from Halfords. The temperature this rocker cover should in theory get, it shouldn't be an issue, so I wouldn't worry too much. I have done this before on other parts of a car where I've lacquered car parts that are near engines and stuff, so I'm hoping it's going to be okay. But yeah, let's let that dry. Hopefully it stays like glass like that. How do I get a nice finish on stuff like that? And then, yeah, mad. Drop in the comments, guys, see what you think. It's the next day now. The clear lacquer has dried. I don't know if you can quite make it out, but it's still got the really lovely raw metal effect. There you can see the light off it. So that is actually glossy. And it's exactly how I wanted. It almost looks like brushed stainless, and I love that look. So now we've left this to cure. I've been on the radiator all night. It feels awesome. It is a shame there's a slight nick in the V there, but it's kind of a bit of character, isn't it? So what we're going to do is we're now going to mask this up very carefully, and then we're going to get the wrinkle paint out and give that a go. I've also decided I'm going to try it and see if this can mask it off, because I love the OEM sticker on it. So that might be a pain. I'm not entirely sure yet. Check out on the next slide if I continue with that, but we'll see. But yeah, going to give it another scotch off, bit of another decontaminant, and then we'll get the fresh paint on. Right guys, that took forever. So that is now fully masked off. Done the best I can with it. At the end of the day, if you get a little bit of overspray on it, you can get it off. It's not going to be too much of an issue. So now I've been shaking this tin for ages. So the directions for use for this is you got to go horizontal, diagonal, and then vertical with the spray, with the fan. So that way it lays nice and evenly. And obviously, because it's quite a, I can't describe it as a particly sort of paint. It won't lay one way, if you know what I mean. From looking at it and from seeing some other videos, it needs to lay in different directions in order to put all the coverage where you want it. So this has been in the house warming up on the heater. It's going to have a good shake again. I've got the heat gun out here because it is quite cold, and I've actually warmed the cover up. We'll do it again before I can get the paint on it. But once bringing you guys in, that took forever. I don't know if I'm going to regret it when I peel it off, but we'll see. Yeah, let's just crack on with it. In the end of the day, I had to decide to get rid of that because it just wasn't masking up. And then my biggest fear was if I masked it up and the masking tape pulled off the transfer that was on it, it would all look a mess anyway, so I just got rid of it. I will look out for another one because I do like the OEM stickers. It's a bit of a shame really, but they all look nice. I'll just clean them nice and black. So let's crack on. Right, so the directions for use is give 5 minutes between each coat. So obviously it's got pretty good coverage there, but you're meant to like dust it on basically. So we're going to do the correct thing. We're going to give it its 5 minutes. Have a brew, plenty of time for that. Yeah, it's obviously, I can't say if it's looking any good. It's not, obviously it won't wrinkle up. It takes a while for it to wrinkle up, but I'm speeding up the process because once I've got all 3 coats on, or the coverage I want, I'm going to speed it up with a heat gun, because it just will not dry in this weather otherwise. So just wait and see. Alright, so that's my third 5 minute time interval up. So I've done across that way and I've done that way. So now it says to diagonally do it, to basically fill in the gaps. Right now I can't see any gaps because it says to lay it on heavy and thick, which is what I have been doing. So let's just get the last coat on now. I've warmed, obviously I kept the place quite warm, so I think the paint's sticking pretty well, but let's lay the next thick coat on. Okay, so now I'm going to get the heat gun on it again. I'm going to try and speed up the process of drying. the drying process is what gives it the wrinkle finish. It won't be glossy like this, it will be matte. That's sort of the look I want it to look quite sort of rugged looking, I guess. So get the heat gun on it now, and I'll bring you guys back in when it's hopefully looking like a wrinkle paint. Right guys, so I am still trying to speed up the process with the gun, but you can kind of see it. Basically, you're creating an orange pill, which obviously is an odd thing to do. But you can see here where I've actually dried it on this mat. That's kind of how it's going to look. So just going to keep going with it, keeps trying to speed it up. It looks quite cool glossy, I'm not going to lie, but you can kind of see it coming through now. Right guys, before I give you a good close-up of this, I am absolutely buzzing my tits off about it. It has come out so well. It's everything I wanted it to look like, and this stuff, I've still got so much in here. I swear it's at about there on the level, so I've got plenty to do the Mazda still, which was the original plan, and in heck we might even have enough to do the minivan when we get around to that. So a few things to note with this paint before we get stuck into having a look at that. You have to do it in 3 different directions to allow it to lay evenly. So you do it horizontally, diagonally and vertically. That way it keeps the layers going nice and smooth. It allows it to settle nicely. It allows it to get in all the nooks and crannies, because you think the profile stuff of things like that, and obviously people paint flat surfaces as well, but it has to get into there, and also heat activates it. So obviously in a nice summer's day you would see it starting to come through straight away if you were painting in direct sunlight, but I've used the heat gun to speed up the process. We are obviously in February, it's very cold, but it's really good. Another thing to note when you finish using this is once you finish spraying it, flip it upside down, spray the nozzle until it's completely empty. That'll stop the can jamming up. That'll allow you to use it again. But massive shout out to Frost for this. They sort of put it onto it. So I'm looking for a high temperature paint to give a nice finish, and they do this in a few colours. So please go and check out the website. Link in the description below for this. But very impressed. So I'm going to stop talking. Let's get stuck into having a look. So, number one, very impressed with that. You've now had a closer look at it, and I mean, even from a distance, it just looks phenomenal. But you've seen the close-ups of it now; it's come out well. There's a few scratch marks in it, but there was a few scratch marks in it before I sanded it. But as a whole, I'm really happy with it. It's still sort of tacky dry. It's not perfectly dry. I'm going to put it back on the radiator, but I wanted to finish this video. Obviously, these were painted last night. Now, it didn't come out perfectly in the masking. It's always very difficult to mask that. I do find it is a bit of a trick of the trade to be able to do it, but there's ways around it. A simple cotton wool bud with some panel cleaner on it, and managed to get rid of the bleeds from the wording and stuff on there where the paint got under it. So I'm really happy with that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It's something a bit different. I know it's to do with the Volvo, but we will be doing this again on the Mini. I wanted to give out a big shout out to this product because I'm really impressed with it. I just want to paint everything with it. The way it lays, everything. I'm absolutely 110% impressed with it, and I hope the finish lasts, and I hope it's very hard wearing, because that's everything I wanted it to be as well. So obviously doing this part with the Volvo, obviously this is dry, I painted this last night. That's a brushed finish. Not everyone has to do that. You could paint that and then mask it off again. For me, I love the raw look of metal, and for me the Volvo is a raw car. It's a strong, sturdy car, and I wanted that to sort of come through. But yeah, so happy with it. Once again guys, thank you very much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. It helps videos to get recognised. If you want to see more and stuff like this, I mean, it wasn't really a how-to video, but it was certainly that's how we use the product. Like I mentioned, the link in the description below to Frost if you want to grab yourself a tin. It's really good. I'm really impressed with it. So I'm going to leave you guys with a few more shots of it, and yeah, it's, you know what it is, it's a cup of tea time. So really impressed. So please, like I say, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've got a good few projects on the go now. Next point of call really is to get back on with the MPI. For me, I need a good few hours to even get anything done on it, which is why these little jobs in the evening, when it's raining and pouring outside, you can get on with it. So rest assured there's more coming on the MPI for sure. Stay safe guys, look after yourself.